Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is luca-zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a dream. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. Another Sunday, another show. I'm telling you, if there is only one reason why I decide to stay on the air, it's because I really believe it is my duty to try to wake up my fellow Americans. I used to do this before even the radio show, just in person, talking to people, meeting people, try to get together and try to really prepare, because I tell you, we need to try to stay very vigilant. We're losing the most beautiful thing I ever could imagine to find in this world. This country, this republic, as much as it's imperfect, because it changed a lot the last 20 years, is still the best place in the world. And I tell you this from my heart, as a former immigrant. It breaks my heart to see things that this country is gone, when America is gone, the way we knew it, it's going to be no other place in the world. So now my point is, I really took this obligation. For me, it's like almost a duty. I don't really need to do this show. The only reason why, because I think even if I can reach another more person out in our community through the airwaves or through the internet now everywhere, to what's going on, especially in our country. I really believe what's happening here is something that's happening around the world, but I'm an American first and mostly. So my point is, this is where I stand. And I realize that we are completely at the last days of this republic. Now, look, people say, what are you babbling, Luca? What are you talking about? After all, we have Republican Congress. We have Trump is one of the guys. Please, guys, stop thinking party. Stop thinking parties, because this is exactly the game they want to play us. These people behind, this elite, you want to believe it or not, that's fine, but the result is what counts. They control both parties. And at the end of the day, if you stop thinking about the name of the party is in charge and look at the agenda and look at the goals, they're exactly following the same goals. Now, specifically, I've been talking about this, let's say, I don't even want to call it debate. There is nothing to debate. I don't debate my rights, as I said many times. But what they're trying to do, they try to put in a debate. They try to put in this sort of democracy forum where 51% of the zombies, they will try to take away our rights. So this new gun assault, this assault on our gun rights, it's real. And don't think for a moment, because President Trump has been elected, you should be now tonight sleeping, sound and safe. I really believe, according to the facts, according to his actions and words, and what he just said the last few days, I believe that President Trump, unfortunately, is revealing for exactly what I was fearing before the elections. And don't get me wrong, I voted for him. Okay? Even I'm not Republican, I voted for him. At the same time, I also was warning us. I was playing on the air the other side of President Trump when he was just a regular billionaire. I've been sarcastic here. And he was talking about he was in favor of gun control. He was in favor of the gun, assault weapon ban. He was in favor of many things that we don't like, if you believe in a republic, if you believe in due process. Now, the latest news was a couple days ago on MSNBC and in different other networks. It was on video. People can say, it said out of context. There is no other context. You should listen to what he said, and I'll play it right now. And then I have a guest, a friend that I never met him in person, but I already had him on the show. We've been talking about very important things. And as I said, even if I don't agree with you, I want you. But with this man, I have more things I agree than I don't. I consider my brother in freedom, and we share the same path towards the defense of this republic. Now, let me play 1 second this little clip from CNBC, whatever it's called, President Trump telling us what he thinks about due process.
Gun violence restraining orders. They're called. California actually has a version of this, and I think in your meeting with governors earlier this week, individually and as a group, we spoke about states taking steps. But the focus is to literally give families and give local law enforcement additional tools if an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or others. Allow due process so that no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court, obtain an order, and then collect not only the firearms but any weapons in the possession
Or
of that
might
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
Well, are you still there? Are you there, Colt? Colt from Baghdad, Arizona.
Yes,
all right, man. I mean, this little speech, it gives me chills behind my neck. I don't know about you. What do you think?
You know, I first of all, thank you for having me back on here. It's good to talk to you. And again, brother, yeah, I definitely appreciate what you're doing, and I consider you a brother in freedom. When we discussed, coming back on your show, I wrote some stuff down that I wanted to talk about. And then when that clip you just played aired, I threw all that out. And I said, no, when I get on there and I talk to Luca tonight, I want to talk about the Second Amendment and the Fifth Amendment assault that we're getting from Trump. And I took notes on that. And apparently you're way ahead of me on this, so I threw those out. The very fact that we have the Fifth Amendment, everything that's in the Fifth Amendment, okay, if you look at the basics of it, that in itself is why our forefathers fought the Revolutionary War, to set us apart as free citizens, not under Crown law. Now, when the President of the United States, the allegedly elected leader of the free world, gets up in front of his country, and make no mistake about it, you can look at the look on his face and know that this trampling of the Fifth Amendment, it's not the first time that it has been in his head or he's been in a room where it was discussed. If he's able to get there and so freely talk about trampling the Fifth Amendment to seize somebody's Second Amendment rights, which is at that point would be you'd lose your Second Amendment rights based on someone else's opinion. You have not had your constitutionally allowed day in court to argue against evidence presented against you. Your rights are being seized based off of another man's opinion.
Yes.
I think what he had to say to get gun owners on his side at the election, and now that he has lured them into his confidence, now the real colors are coming out. And we are under more of an attack now. Our Constitution is in more danger of a paper shredder now than it ever was under Barack Obama.
Yes. You're right. The problem is, I really believe this is not an accident, because somebody like him right now, that completely blatantly, look also at his body language. He's not even shy. I mean, you see, he's like pretty much showing who really is, in my opinion. My only important is not about opinion. This is about his straight voice. It is not just some reporter have listened something between, rooms or, behind the room. This is something real, on the open. And I am cringy when I see other fellow Americans that they still want to somehow deny the evidence or find excuses. Oh, you must have a special plan. Or you must have some sort of, special strategies. I mean, come on, guys. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is like now beyond anything. And that's why I really believe at this point, I had my own let's say, conspiracy before the elections, and I was really hoping to be wrong, and I still said I'm not shy. I voted for the man because I wanted to believe that there was still a chance to save the sort of a system, because after all, I could not give the vote to Hillary, and I could not even just think that she was going to be there. So I had for a moment the illusion that maybe President Trump, he really was an independent mind. But I really now start to see the facts. It is not just today Second Amendment issue with the gun control threat that we are facing. I also see other aspects. For example, tell me if you agree with me. And I would like to talk about this friendly, like a brother, really, like somebody that I have no agendas, guys. I'm not here to try to, I have no party's allegiance. My only allegiance to the Constitution in this country. So please don't try to, I'm not even trying to be, some sort of snotty here. Let's look what's going on. President Trump, since got elected, the things he said before and what is done after. In foreign policy, and tell me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong, okay? I want your opinion, Colt. He said that we have no business to be in Syria, and of course not in Afghanistan. After all, we need to put America first. Am I right or not, Colt? That's what he said. Okay?
You're absolutely right. He said, he said we had no business in Syria, and look where that mess is right now.
Yeah. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, I reported, that was from mainstream news, U.S. troops, they were there engaging supposedly Syrians or wherever they are, and more than hundreds of them died. I mean, don't forget there is also Russia there. I mean, this is completely contradicting every common sense, and by the way, constitutional use of our armed force, because we lost that a long time ago. I've always been saying that since the day I started this show. The last constitutional real war that we fought was World War II. From then, they were just police force actions under the United Nations. So, but the point is, Trump completely lost us there. So foreign policy, and Afghanistan the same. I mean, we know that how many trillion of dollars we wasted there, and it's supposed to be over. 20 years later almost, I mean, this war is going to be endless. So Trump continued the same agenda that Bush did, that Obama did, and now is continuing. And by the way, the same that neocons want, like these people like the McCain of the world, the Senator Graham. I mean, that's the bottom line. So foreign policy, failure, in my opinion. What do you think? Am I too extreme?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. When you talk about the endless war, if you go back to a book, and it was almost prophetic. The book was titled 1984.
Yeah.
They also made a movie about it, and it really does describe the tyranny that we're living in today. And one of the things in that was the government would have a endless war that they can constantly feed people into. Mm-hmm. You get the population control from that end, but then also a war is a license for the federal government to print money.
Exactly.
If you look at like 1984, even right now, we can compare what's going on in this country a hell of a lot to 1938, 1939 Germany. Once Germany got into the full swing of things in the early 40s there, and it kind of was looking to most people that the final victory was not going to happen, the fanaticals involved in waging that war, they didn't even really want to win at that point. They wanted to prolong it and keep it going. Exactly. And that's exactly what we're doing now. There is no clear strategy to win absolutely anything, anywhere that we're putting men at risk.
Exactly. And top, always to the same story. If I really want to go to war, the real way, hopefully we never go to war, but if we have to go to war, this Constitution, the only way is supposed to be happening, it's with the people, with the Congress. Only Congress shall declare war. Not the President, not some sort of a Pentagon agency or whatever under the umbrella of the United Nations. So that's the point. President Trump is continuing the same agenda of these unconstitutional, let's say, endless wars. So completely opposite what is said. Number one. Number two, let's talk about just... every Republican, or at least the average Republican, consider themselves, let's say, conservative also in spending. That's the idea, because less we spend, waste, less we have to be taxed. Especially, nobody wants to address the real issue of the private Federal Reserve, because that's another thing. But let's just stick now with what we're stuck with, this monstrosity called the Federal Reserve. Every time they print $1, it's $1 out of thin air, and this is just a private consortium of private bankers that they've been federalized, or at least they have this sort of a magic power to create, currency out of thin air, and then they tax us the interest. So the point is, every time we spend more, we get more in debt with this private bank. Now, last budget, 1.8, let me spell it out, $1.8 trillion they were voted by this Republican Congress, and of course the Democrats, And, of course, Trump was very happy and excited to sign. You think that that's something that should be something to be proud? We already over $20 trillion in debt, without even considering all the unfunded liabilities, Social Security and all this other stuff. I don't even want to go there. Let's just think about the $20 trillion plus another $1.8 trillion, and the interest going skyrocketing. That's something I would expect from a Barack Obama. What do you think here? Am I wrong, or maybe there is some truth here?
No, there's truth to it, and we've been printing unbacked currency for a very, very long time. And, you talk about the budgets that get passed. A few weeks back I was reading this thing. It was from the Pentagon was talking about how they see 2018 being a very limited war in Afghanistan with limited resources, very low scale, mostly airstrikes and advisors, that kind of thing. And then they put this price tag on it. It could fund most third world nations for 10 years.
Wow.
What concerns me is these astronomical figures they put out that the American public has to pay whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
There's no accountability to where this money is really going. And when somebody like Rand Paul can get up there with documented proof and read things such as like the government spends $700,000 on seeing if frogs are more promiscuous on cocaine.
Oh, my God.
Stupid studies like that, which we all know they're not real. It's a slush fund.
Yeah.
But not only are we getting taxed to death, and they're spending money that we honestly do not have, we as Americans have honestly no real scope of where in the hell a single dollar of this is going.
Yeah. And let's not forget how many, let's say, completed and unaccounted $1 trillion in the Pentagon just before 9/11 or 2001. I think there was how many, former Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld, the day before 9/11, he was grilled by Congress, and I should play that again. I forgot exactly. I think it was like $1 trillion. I mean, that was a huge amount of money that, oh, sorry, we don't know where it's gone. I mean, seriously. So my point is, Trump right now, even on this sort of a fiscal conservative, or at least common sense, I don't even want to call conservative, just common sense, he failed us. He's acting exactly as a Democrat. For me, this is a fact. It's not an opinion. Now, let's talk about this sort of, DACA situation. Before the elections, he's on record, President Trump, or at least, before he wasn't even president, candidate Trump was on record saying that he did not support the fact that the sons and daughters of illegal aliens should have a special path to citizenship or to stay here. After all, they came here illegally. And this is not coming from somebody that, like myself, I'm a former immigrant, so I'm the first one to say, you know what, we should have all the same opportunity, but this is not a right, it's an opportunity. So you should not break the law and become in front of others. That's the point. But that's my personal opinion. The point is what matters, what President Trump said at the beginning before really got into office. Now, this completely changed. DACA is something that we need to work with the Democrats, and we need to completely let it go. And much more. So much that last week, just a few days ago, there was a mainstream news that now supposedly, it's a fact, immigration force in California, they will not anymore enforce, let's say, raids. And they will completely let California go. Did you read that?
Yes, I did.
I mean, I don't understand how it's possible that you just, federal government, decide to let one state completely, you surrender to one state, and they say, okay, they win. They can completely ignore federal laws. I mean, right there is something that... Go ahead.
Okay, what's scary about that just letting the state go, the busiest border crossing in the Western Hemisphere is in Southern California between the United States and Mexico. Just saying that, hey, you know what, I'm just going to pull all my immigration people out of there and you guys can deal with it, the good will suffer with the bad.
Exactly.
And that's basically telling your population, hey, you know what, I'm going to let a free channel for crime to flow into our country, and even though good people will die in the process, I'm going to do it to make a point.
This is very wrong. Exactly. You're failing all the people in California that they want to have laws enforced. And you cannot just let them, die or just suffer the consequences because whatever game you have. So right there, that's one of the few things really the president should do. Should be executing the laws. And one thing probably they're never going to be stopped, astounding me. I mean, I don't know if the right word, shock me. The fact that right now we are more than 1 year into his presidency, we have this new Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, that, by the way, we know he can call him very fast. When President Trump, when it was last week, he wanted to do his show on TV and said, I just called the Attorney General and I did my memorandum and I instructed him that we will completely ban by edict, not even by, if somebody wants to do that, the only people that could do that would be Congress, okay? Even it could be unconstitutional, the banning of a tool like the bonfire stock or whatever. Still, presidents should not make laws, okay? But no, he was able to call Attorney General very fast for something that is none of his business. It is none of his really authority, constitutional authority, to completely by edict ban one part of our gun rights. I don't care if it's a bonfire stock, people don't understand, or they always want to find the excuse, just let them have it, we don't need it, it's useless. Don't you understand, guys, if today a man, in this case the president, by edict, by complete pen and paper, by executive order, can ban one part of our gun rights, tomorrow could be a magazine, tomorrow could be anything that makes your gun shooting faster, or why not just the gun itself? That's the point. But more important, the point is, he can call Jeff Sessions for something like that, but he never really had the balls. And more important, Jeff Sessions never had the balls to do what he's supposed to do, enforce the laws of this country, and keep justice, and go after prosecuting Hillary Clinton. That, for me, says it all.
You talk about Jeff Sessions. To me, he draws a very direct historic parallel to Heinrich Himmler in a way. And yeah, the bump stock thing and how easily he was able to throw that out was one of the things I originally wanted to talk about. I've heard a lot of guys make excuses for Trump, saying, the bump stocks, they're junk, or the trigger devices, they're junk, we'll let that go. Here's the thing. Shall not be infringed means exactly that. There are other parts in the Constitution that specifically say that the people should have sufficient arms and ammunition to counter their government. By telling us what we can and can't put on our rifles, limits, it's an infringement on our Second Amendment right. But like you said, if he can do that by a royal decree, we have a serious damn problem. And if Jeff Sessions is such a lackey, is such a yes man that he can just make a phone call, and this guy's willing to legalize anything that the Crown so desires, people really need to wake up, stop making excuses for these guys, hold them accountable, and realize, hey, each one of these little issues is part of a bigger picture, and that bigger picture is our Constitution going through a paper shredder, and once we lose that, we're in a serious bind.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, this is nothing to do with the bonfire stock. As I said, today could be that. Once that's gone, next president could say, let me just ban magazines. We don't need magazines. You don't need magazines.
What's the principle?
Exactly, is the principle. They're going to be applying to everything, and it's going to be like this sort of a slow cooking, in it boiling in the water. That at the end of the day, by the way, we lost most of our real Second Amendment since at least the beginning of the century. 1934, the National Firearm Act. That's the first way, the same type of, the Valentine Massacre, and they use it as an excuse. You know what, you don't need full automatic weapon, you don't need barrels shorter than 16 inches or whatever. And then, at that point, they were able to get away with that. And guess what? Now, if you have a rifle shorter than 1 inch, your barrel shorter than 1 inch or half inch, you can spend 5 years in jail. You can become a felon. And so many other things. So we already lost a lot. But now it's getting deeper and deeper. That at least was some sort of unconstitutional act passed by Congress. Now we go deeper. Now a president, a man, can tell you what he thinks is right for us or not. And I said, You may be comfortable because you think it's Trump. Guess what? Tomorrow could be another Obama, and doesn't matter at this point. Forget about the names, forget about the parties, look at the agenda, look at the facts. Anyway, what else do you think about what's going to happen the next few weeks, Colt?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Luca. The things that we're discussing right now are things that millions of us across this country have had on our radar. And like I said when I was on your show before, we have been seeing this type of thing coming for the last 20 years. But now that it's actually happening in our face, and the sheer amount of things that have happened nationwide in the last 2 years, as far as the alleged mass shootings, I mean, I personally believe that they're all false flags used to drive a disarmament agenda, which is pretty obvious right now. But I don't think at the rate things are happening that we're going to have to worry about the next president. I think enough is happening in such a short time frame that over the course of even maybe another year, God only knows what constitutional infringements we're going to be subjected to, what the next anti-American, anti-Bill of Rights, anti-Constitution legislation we're going to be faced with. At any given time, any of these issues can boil over. And if they keep going on the track they are, if they keep having all these Trump apologists sticking up for him, it's only going to end one way, and it's going to end the same way it did between us and England in the late 1700s. That's my opinion. Well, at some point, people are going to have to stand up for their rights.
Yeah, I believe that there is a point that they're really preparing for something. I mean, they are so desperate, so completely focused on be sure that the American people, they're going to be disarmed. This isn't like an obsession, seriously. And remember, we already have, if you really want to look at the reality, yes, we have how many millions of potential gun owners, but doesn't mean that every gun owner is a soldier. Doesn't mean that every gun owner has the will to defend his family or even better, his liberty. Still, they look at and also let's look at the firearms, don't get me wrong, in the hands of a dedicated and trained man, a rifle, even a bolt action, can be a devastating tool. But the point is, if you look at the firepower, the federal government is being acquired in the last years. Let's not forget that during Obama, all these billions of bullets and of course, more important, cartridges and the armored vehicles and, resources that they have. So really, they are preparing for something, but my point now, they're so desperate to be sure that we don't have even anymore the basic semi-automatic rifle, because that's what boils down to. They don't want us the AR-15. The AR-15 is like any other semi-automatic rifle. Just because it has a different shape doesn't matter. They don't want any semi-automatic rifle in our hands. If they could get away, they would give us a slingshot. That's our Second Amendment according to the federal government. A slingshot, maybe black powder, if you like it, with a permit, of course. So that's the point. They want to be sure, they want to ban everything that could give us a basic edge in case we had to defend ourselves from a violent force. And that's what really scares the hell out of me at this point. There is more than we don't know. I mean, what if we go to war tomorrow and we're going to be invaded on top of everything? Let's not forget that we already have elements in our government proven that they've been selling us out. Look at Hillary Clinton with the uranium deal with Russia. Look what they've done in the past with China, the Clinton, also giving all this technology. And many other situations now, like we know, China is pretty much getting and buying or acquiring big parts of our Southwest as collateral or even just as a sort of an asset for their farms, for the solar farms or other things. So I really believe it could be deeper than just getting our guns because, somehow some, politicians in Washington wants to boss us around. I go deeper than that. I believe they are somehow preparing for something that this country never really has seen since the time of the English 1812 when they invaded the second time. That's the bottom line. So I would be probably, I don't know, I hope to be wrong. What do you think?
Well, no, I agree with most of you on that. I mean, it's very obvious that our military has been sold out a long time ago. I mean, for instance, right now, we have modern fifth generation, or whatever you want to call it, stealth ships in our fleet that are installed right now in hostile waters that do not have ammunition for their main gun because it's not produced.
Wow.
Our military, the technology that we're sending our guys to fight with it's a joke compared to what we're facing from the enemy. Now, the disarmament thing, the globalist agenda there's two things that need to happen for them to get their ways. One, we have to be disarmed. Two, it's because we're going to be invaded, and an invasion is going to stand a hell of a lot less of a chance of success if we're all armed. But the other side to that coin is I've had a lot of friends that served in Afghanistan. One was like a brother to me. He didn't even make it home. And the one thing I've heard from a lot of these guys is, we've been there for 17, going on 18 years now. We are allegedly the most technologically advanced nation in the world. We allegedly have the best and the most powerful military technology in the world. And the guys that were still there fighting almost 20 years later don't have matching shoes. They are dehydrated most of the time. They're malnourished. And they have AK-47s that are missing the front sight and sometimes the rear sight. You know, these guerrillas in their own homeland have proved quite a problem for us for 20 years now. Now, historically, Afghanistan has never been conquered, even all the way back to Alexander the Great. But I think that it wouldn't be so much the U.S. government trying to disarm the people. I think they know that their numbers wouldn't stack up to anything, and I'm sure they would be faced with a certain level of desertion if orders like that came down. I think that would be their open-door policy for when Barack Obama was in office. He signed an executive order that people made a stink about. It was about a year before Trump got elected. And it's, in the event of civil unrest, the president can call on the United Nations to deploy forces on our soil to quell the unrest.
Yes.
It's not a whole lot back then, but with what we're looking at now, the groundwork was laid over a year ago for them to bring the UN here to do their dirty work.
Yeah, and also was FEMA, by the way, was the official document. It was reported from different news. One was from the New American, and I played that several times. FEMA has an agreement, or at least had, I don't know now if they still have, that in case of national emergency, Russian troops may be used to keep the peace on U.S. soil. That was directly from FEMA website. And that's the reality. I really believe what they're trying to do here. And don't get me wrong, many of our soldiers, they are not even aware of this, or at least they have the heart at the right place. But that's exactly why we had the biggest, completely, how you call it in English, when people got completely fired. I mean, this was like a purge from our top brass, all the top brass, colonel and up, generals, everybody who was not playing game of this globalist agenda. They've been fired. They've been retired. And now who is left? Unfortunately, they're not the people that we want to have as people that would be ready to defend this republic. And that's why also I believe they want to use our soldiers, sending them as far as possible overseas. They don't want to keep them here, because they know if they're here, they will do the right thing probably. And that's why I believe they want to keep here only some that they have been selected and probably been already somehow, they have these algorithms. They can go through everything you do in your life, and they know who is the drone, who is some sort of a following orders, and they probably have maybe, I don't know, IQ levels of room temperature, and they can at that point be the right enforcers against their own brothers and sisters. That's I really believe that. By the way, did you ever have a chance to watch that TV series from the 80s that I gave you the link, or at least I gave you the name? It was America with a K.
Yes, I did. And it's kind of spooky, because the things that they were talking about in that, and at the time, you could look at that and go, oh yeah, that guy's just off his rocker, but he was right. Look at what's happening now on the grand scope of things. More people need to see that.
Yeah.
And as usual, as far as, like the troops being sent out overseas intentionally so they're not here, as usual, you're right on the money. I've heard that from so many people. They're like, if they deploy the bulk of our forces, keep them tied up worldwide, when they get their little agenda rolling here, they have to bring in the UN, because they know Americans will not, for the most part, fire on Americans. They will not obey unconstitutional orders against their own people on their own soil. However, Mikhail Sokolovich from the Ukraine, or wherever that particular bunch of UN troops are from, they don't care.
No, this is very serious. Listen, before we go ahead, I want to say thank you for coming on and for sharing this information. And more important, thank you for not thinking as a party drones. I said last Sunday, maybe I was a little bit too extreme. I'm sorry, guys. If you really want to follow the orders of any party, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, even Libertarian, you are, in my opinion, you are a slave. Parties are exactly created to divide. You should always use your brain. That's what I think. And unfortunately, this party system has been working fine for the globalists to keep us in this game, back and forth, divide and conquer. More important, don't worry, you got to follow the orders. After all, our guy is better than the other guy. Guess what? Screw all these guys. At this point, I came to the conclusion, really, we got to completely stop, in my opinion, thinking parties, but we need to think only about the basics of this country, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and what is good for us. That's the bottom line. And everything else is just an illusion. Now, Colt, anything you want to say before I let you go?
Yeah, again, thanks a lot for having me on here. I really appreciate the chance to get and talk with you a little bit about this stuff. And the last thing I can say here, you mentioned how the two-party systems are sham. For me, it's always been, your Roman history. Obviously, you're from Italy.
Yeah, from Rome, yes.
your home nation's, I should say your former home nation's history. And the reason the Roman military was able to be as successful as it came down to this one simple strategy, and that's divide and conquer.
Yes.
If you keep one half of the country fighting the other half, you have free reign, do anything you want. Hitler did the same thing in his inner circle and his high command. He kept everybody hating each other and fighting each other. And he was able to just push right ahead with his own agenda. The two-party system, like you said, it keeps people fighting each other. It politicizes things that should not be political. And in the end of the day, everybody loses. People need to think for themselves. They need to think, hey, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I've actually got off my butt and read the Constitution, and I stand for that. And any politician that is not standing in line with that is a problem.
Yes. All right, listen, my friend, thank you very much. Let's be in touch, because I really believe the next few weeks, at least when it comes down to this Second Amendment issue, that, by the way, it's not just the second, as you said, this is also going to be the Fifth Amendment. This is going to be also, in my opinion, the First Amendment, because think about it. Now, if without due process, a man, somebody, can completely decide that they don't like your opinion, they don't like what you say, and there is no due process, there is no more, judge or jury, trial, nothing. There is just that opinion. They can completely freeze also our First Amendment. After all,
I actually just posted a video to my personal Facebook before you called saying exactly that. I agree 100%.
I mean, think about that now. I had to say, by the way, you don't need to post these. Why are you posting these photos of yourself with this rifle? What's wrong with you? You must be psycho. Guess what? I'm going to report you right now for 30 silver coins, and I don't even need to show my name. I can be anonymous, and the police will knock at your door. Maybe they don't like the fact that you open, I don't know, in underwear. And guess what? Maybe you're having a beer in your home. That sounds like probably psycho for them. Who knows? Maybe there is a Mormon, cop coming to your door. Doesn't like you drink beer. I mean, seriously. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be against anybody. The point is, this is going to be according to their opinion. That's wrong. That's wrong. All right, Lisa, a little break. Before I go ahead, I want to remind everybody, please, I really seriously need your support. Not because I need it personally for myself. I'm fine. But this show sucks the hell out of me and comes down that I have so many things I'm doing. And I've been, by the way, Colt, I didn't tell you, I've been under attack on Amazon. I've been under attack on eBay. I mean, don't get me going. Amazon removes all my reviews from my Zanna coffee. Like that. Out of the blue. I had 5-star reviews, completely gone. Then I found out, for example, one of my credit card processors in California, I have several websites, one of those 6 months ago decided to cut me off. Do you know why? Without warning. And I was keep processing orders because I thought I was getting paid. Because somebody in their security team found out that my name, since I'm the signer for the account, had more than 12,000 pages URLs linked to my name. And I said, so what?
Wow.
What about that? What if I was, Elton John. Maybe I would have 12 million pages linked to my name. You're going to cut them off? We do whatever we want. And guess what? I really believe that wasn't about how many pages. Probably it was about my politics pages. Don't get me wrong, this company is from California. Guess what? I got involved, my lawyer, and I got my money back from these bastards at the end. But still, I had to fight. So it's really we're under attack, and I believe now in the digital world, like you can see now how they censor Facebook, how also they completely control this information about the shooting, about they suppressing all this information that they're real. Like, for example, this crisis actor, for me, is a crisis actor, the little guy, what is his name? Help me out.
David Hogg.
What is
David Hogg.
The Hogg. Okay, the Hogg, the son of a retired FBI agent, that, by the way, also works for a private firm that does, crisis, okay, for the government. Anyway, my point is, they try to stop every footage, every video, every evidence that this guy has been going around for years in different schools doing the same show. We are completely in the digital world. They can manipulate us, they can destroy us if they want. So we really need each other's help. So I say, guys, if you want to help me out, that's the way. One of the ways that I do my living, and I'm very proud, thank God I don't do just one thing, otherwise I will be dead with these bastards. But you can go on zanna.us and you can download any of my songs for just 99 cents, or you can go to zannacoffee.com, of course, and also you can get my erotic poems or other books that I'm writing on Amazon, those bastards, and anything else you can find on zanna.us, okay? Don't forget, of course, ar15shop.us. I did my little... Anything you want to plug? What do you do for a living, if I can ask you? Anything you want to plug? You do any service in Baghdad you can offer?
No, all we have here is pretty much just the mine. It's a small mining town, and this town would not exist if it wasn't for the mine. So, yeah, we really have nothing.
So you work at the mine? What do you do, if I can ask you? Never ask you.
I'm an equipment operator by trade. I left the state for a while, went up to Idaho, and I'm back now. I'll be starting back with the mine here probably within the next month or so. I got my job back. I was rehired, and now I'm just waiting for my start date to go back in.
What do you exactly mine there? What is copper, silver? What do you got there?
Copper and moly. Like when you hear, when you have a chrome line barrel.
Okay.
In an AR, that chrome moly, we mine here. It's a steel hardener.
Wow.
And it's used in rifle parts, dental utensils, all kinds of stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Lisa, good luck, and thank you very much, Colt, okay? All right, talk to you later, Colt. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Stay there. Once, let me finish this. Stay there. Okay, that was Colt, okay? Little break. Today, little different. Normally, this hour, I try to give you last few shows. I've been pretty much finally being able to share news, but now I wanted to have back people, their opinion, their ideas. Now, little segment. We're gonna have a little break. Then we come back. We talk a little bit about coming classes, Second Amendment, and what I really think we should do proactively to try to stop this nonsense of this sort of agenda. We need at least be on record, because at this point we need to be vocal. And one day at least we can say to each other, we tried. And let me tell you more details after this break. Don't go away. You listen to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna.
Awaken the warrior in you with Scotty. The new AR-15 rifle by Zanna Enterprises, LLC. I am Scotty. Norse goddess of winter, hunting, and just revenge. I am Scotty. I am chambered in 223 wild and can shoot 556 NATO and 223 Remington. My trigger is crisp and fast, an average of 4 pounds out of the box. Call me a fast girl. I can shoot over 5 rounds in 1 second. But I'm focused too. With only iron sights and no bench, I can hit 1 square inch at 25 yards. I bow down to no one. I am independent. I am fierce. I am a warrior. I am Scotty. The new AR-15 rifle by Zanna Enterprises, LLC. Find me at www.ar15shop.us.
Okay, I'm back, and just to let you know, as you can hear me from the voice, I am very sick. By the way, last Sunday I didn't have a show. I could not go finish the show because I was completely without voice. Now, I'm going to finish this Sunday show with a guest. Her name is Jennifer Jones. I've been knowing this lady for a few years. She's an activist. I wouldn't consider her a politician. She's somebody probably that, started trying to be a politician because she believes in what she's doing. I believe that mostly because she's an activist. But regardless, let me bring her on because she's running back for office, exactly for the State House representative. And also she has an interesting project that I think is something very worth it to talk about it. She's recalling one of our county supervisors. Now, let me bring her on, Jennifer Jones from Mohave County. Jennifer, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Luca. Great to be on. I just want to make a quick clarification. A little over a year ago, I got married, and so if people see my name in the newspaper or they see it on my campaign signs or my website, I hyphenated it. It's now Jennifer Jones Esposito. I married a good Italian guy who's been in Mohave County for about 30 years.
Okay, perfect. I forgot. Sorry, you're right. Esposito. You're right. So Jennifer Jones Esposito. I would say the old way, the Italian way.
There you go.
All right, perfect. Jennifer Jones Esposito.
Yes.
Tell us, first of all, why are you running again for office? You already tried a couple of years ago. You tried hard. You had not much resources, but you still tried the best you could, and I was very proud of you. And why you want to try again? And what you think is going to make the difference this time?
Well, last time I ran on a $500 threshold committee, and so for less than $500, I got over 7,800 votes.
Wow.
Which was, it was unheard of. And, I knew some things about my opponents in the race, and I tried to find a way to bring those out. Of course, some people said, "Oh, you're so mean, and we don't like negative campaigns. You should just focus on what you can do." Well, that's easy to say, but last election, over $50,000 worth of what they call dark money from special interests was dumped into my race. More than any other legislative district in Arizona. So if you look at my $500 against the $50,000 that benefited my opponents, the fact that I got as close as I did was really spectacular. And then when Mr. Mosley got elected, 2 weeks after the general election, what happened to him was what I knew was going to happen, but didn't have the paperwork to prove, so I didn't come right out and say it. He was a stockbroker from Lake Havasu City, and I knew that he had been allowed to resign from Edward Jones Financial in Lake Havasu under scandal, but none of his coworkers were allowed to talk about it. When he ran last election, he was an independent, I think, Ameriprise, Ameritrade, whatever you call it, broker. Well, he was fired from Ameritrade or Ameriprise or whatever you call it, and the Securities and Exchange Commission yanked his license after the general election. Yeah, big deal considering a lot of people here in Mohave County that were supporting him had money invested with him. And he didn't do a very good job last session in the legislature. The other legislators don't like him. He didn't show up for a critical vote that hurt Mohave Electric Cooperative, and a bill that was very important to them failed by his one vote. And people started clamoring to me and saying, "Would you please run again one more time and take out Mr. Mosley?" So I said, "Okay, that's something I think I'd be willing to do." My husband said that he was okay with that. So I thought I would try one more time. Another thing that's in my favor, the legislature changed the law, and they got rid of this $500 threshold committee. So now I can spend and raise up to $1,100 before I have to declare an official political action committee. So I thought, well, heck, that's more than twice what I spent last time. If I work that hard at grassroots, talking to people, handing out business cards, I'm building on the success I had last time. I've gotten some key endorsements. Former Mayor of Kingman, Richard Anderson, Jamie Lynn Staley from Kingman City Council, Sheila Schutz and Steve D'Amico from the Bullhead City Council. A lot of local people are really lining up behind me to take Mr. Mosley out, and there's only one other person in the race, and his name might sound familiar. He's another fine Italian young man named Leo Biasucci. But the reason that his name sounds familiar, Luca, is last time he ran as the Green Party candidate, and the day after the election, he changed to Republican strategically because this is a Republican county and Republican district, and then he went to Project Vote Smart and changed all his answers.
Let me interrupt you 1 second, Jennifer. Let me interrupt you 1 second. First of all, I would like to say everybody we mentioned, for example, I had both. I had State Representative Mosley when he was still one of us, before he became, the special guy that he think he is. And I tell you, I'm really disappointed with him for so many levels. First of all, he unfriended me on Facebook. But more importantly, he blocked me. Forget about unfriending me. I don't care about friendship. I'm talking about to have some sort of communication with our state representative. So that's the fact. But he's still welcome. I welcome him on the show. And I told him in face when I saw him after the election that he won. Oh, no, wait a second. Just before he thought he was going to win, and I told him, I'm not going to vote for you. I'm sorry. I think you're a fake. I told him probably he was shocked. I'm not going to even, I may shake your hand, but that's it. I'm not going to vote for you. But anyway, the point is not what I do or what I believe. The point is the facts. You mentioned something very important, the situation with Ameritrade and his license. It's a fact. People should know. And also the point, they should decide. Okay, I'm not endorsing anybody here. All I say, everybody is welcome to come on the show and fence for themselves. But the problem is many of them are afraid to come at this point. I know Mr. Mosley, before he ran for office, he came. But when he said he didn't like the type of questions I was bringing to him, and I tell you, I want to be very specific. We were talking about geoengineering, weather modification that is so public that so much in Arizona, you can get for $100 on the Arizona website, government website, you can download the license. So he was trying to completely ignore it, and then he said, elect me first, and then I'll find out. This is a typical speech of a politician that, makes me puke. So that's the bottom line, what I think about
Isn't that what
Go ahead.
Isn't that what the Democrats said about Obamacare? Pass it first and then find out what's in it. Mr. Mosley says, elect me, and then I'll tell you if I'm going to help you.
But he's still welcome. I'm a civil person, and I welcome him on the show. Maybe he can defend his position. Maybe he can tell us another side of the story when it comes down to this situation with his license. Honestly, I am going to call him. I try to reach him now, since you brought him in. Another thing also is about Mr. Biasucci. I had him on my show. There are a lot of things I may not agree with him. Some things I may agree, but regardless, he's welcome too, of course. And I understand now he's running for Republican. Honestly, I couldn't care less about the party he runs for because I don't like any of them. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. I think it's just a show. But unfortunately, in this county, the story. If you want to play a game, you gotta be a big elephant. That's the story. Otherwise, you have no chances, almost no chance. Anyway, let's talk now about something. First of all, how people can contact you briefly if they want to donate or reach you out for help.
Well, of course, if you're on Facebook, you can find me easily on Facebook. Like Jennifer Jones Esposito, I think it is on Facebook. It's not too hard to find.
I'm losing you, Jennifer. I'm losing you a little bit. I don't know why the signal is going down. Try to get closer to the microphone. Anyway, I will try to post on Facebook, also on the website, your link to Facebook. Now, let's talk briefly about...
And I'll also send you a link to my website.
Yes. Let me...
it's kind of a long link, so I won't say it. I'll just send it to you, and you can post it.
Perfect. Let me do that. While I'm talking about briefly the petition, I'll call you back. I don't like to have this signal that is going to be interrupting back and forth. Anyway, I'm here. This is kind of semi-live. The show is going to be recorded. But the point is still we're doing this live, okay? So I'm calling back now Mrs. Esposito, Jennifer Jones Esposito, okay? So I'm going to call her back 1 second only because I would like to have her back and talk a little bit about this recall. Why she's recalling Mohave County Supervisor Jim Bishop, by the way.
Hello.
Okay, we're back. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there for a minute.
I cut you off because I wanted to get a new line to have a better communication.
Right.
So now, straight to the point. Why are you recalling Mohave County Supervisor Jim Bishop? You got 2 minutes to make your point.
Okay. Well, I've been watching all the votes and attending most of the supervisors' meetings. And to be honest, I'm a small government, lower taxes, more freedom kind of person. Supervisor Bishop, who represents me in my district, is higher taxes, bigger government, more rules and regulations. I watched her vote consistently for that. And I've had a lot of people say we should recall her. More people voted for someone other than her in a 4-way Republican primary in 2016 than they voted to keep her. And all those people who didn't want her, who voted for someone else, started saying, recall. And I said, well, maybe she'll be more attentive. Give her a chance. Everyone should calm down because I don't actually like recalls. I feel that they're an important tool that was given to us by our founding fathers in Arizona, but it's a lot of work and a very contentious issue. So instead of being more attentive to her constituents, she was more arrogant. She was more dismissive. We're just naysayers if we dare to get up at the podium and criticize her. I don't think she's been honest with the other supervisors regarding issues in her district. And I finally just got to the point at 2 weeks ago where I said, if I pull recall papers on her right now, they won't cost the taxpayers for a special election. Her name will just go on the regular November 6th general election ballot. And, the cost in that is negligible at best because the county, they verify the signatures, but I survived the signature challenge by Mr. Mosley, so I know the person who does that is on salary, has to work through the weekend if necessary, but doesn't get paid any extra. The limited amount of county resources involved in the recall by doing it strategically right now is very little, and it gives the voters the opportunity to decide if they really want to continue her tax to the max, grow government, more regulations, voting record. If it goes to the November 6th election, then that will be before they vote to approve a final budget. She has 3 budgets left to vote on in her term, and it seemed like the best thing to give the voters their say whether they want to keep her or not.
She votes like worse than a Democrat, in my opinion, when it comes down to money and individual rights. That's the truth. Just facts. I mean, forget about the free Mohave County socialist cable TV. Okay, that really becomes like a right now in this county. I have to pay for somebody else's cable. But there is so much more. All I'm saying, I'm not taking side by side. I'm glad that you're doing, at least bringing awareness, because with this, whatever happens with the recall, at least you bring facts and educating people out there to at least have a better idea if they really like to be screwed like we've been screwed the last 4 years. Keep going and vote still for Mrs. Bishop. By the way, just a personal note, before the elections 4 years ago, she's supposed to be on my show. She canceled the hour before. Forget about the day before. I was given a chance with her and the other Democrat opponent candidate. She completely said, no, she said nothing. She just canceled it. I'm not coming. So anyway, that's the story. But that's just a personal note, okay? She's still welcome, Mrs. Bishop, as much as I dislike, and I completely made me puke your voting records. I still welcome you with a smile on my show, and hopefully maybe I'm going to write you an email. Let's see, maybe after 4 years you're going to have better attitude, a little more discipline and courtesy. Okay, Lisa and Jennifer, thank you very much, and good luck with whatever you're doing. You're listening to Love, Games, and Freedom, guys, and God willing, my call is going to be gone, and talk to you next Sunday with an incredible guest from Italy, former Secret Service from Gladio.